Hello, weary travelers, and welcome to the Come and Go Tavern. My name is Sheila Ornthalis, and I'll be your hostess this afternoon. Today's kitchen special is waffles, and you can get as many as you want, so stack them as high as you want, or short if you like a short stack. And it looks like Irene is currently available for a full service package, if you know what I mean. But if you see anything or anyone else on the menu just that you're interested in, just let me know and we will see what we can do. Hello, Veloci! I'm glad to have you back. Do you have any more news to talk about for your own TTRPG? Or are you just here to join us for our own 4th TTRPG Tuesday? For anybody in the audience who doesn't know what's going on, basically I'm going to be doing a co-working stream where I work on a project. Today's project is ProtoDrive, which is a Lancer-based system of like creating street racing cars and stuff like that. Lots of J-drama, all of that sort of fun thing. If you've seen Initial D or Fast and the Furious, you know about the vibe of the game. But other than that, I'll be answering questions, chatting about anything that comes to mind, just generally hanging out, that sort of fun thing. Cool. Well, hey, fair enough. No news yet is not necessarily good news or bad news. Oh, I thought I got all of the ones with lyrics in them. Sorry, not that y'all can hear that, but I'm already listening to video game music over in my iTunes, so it was getting a little weird to talk over, even if y'all couldn't hear it. But anyway, I'll be just, kind of hanging out, working, and if y'all have any questions about the game, or if something doesn't seem to make sense, let me know, and I'll do my best to clarify it, because that's the whole point of these streams, is improving my work, and making sure that players have the best and easiest time playing the game as possible. As always, I'll also be available for comments, questions, and concerns about the tavern, as well as regular old conversation, so don't be afraid to fill the chat with discussion. And we'll go ahead and bring you on over to the, well, I guess it's not really the game screen, it's more of the, just the work screen today. Let's see. Whoa, I have made the mistake of clicking on the comments button. We're gonna wait for that to load for about 5 minutes. Because we always have way too many comments when we're doing internal development. But yeah, no, honestly, this is just how you should be commenting up your stuff anyway. Looking at you as well, coders, just saying, please comment your code, please comment your stuff if there is anything in there that you need to add in at a later date, or that you want to make sure that you are calling other devs and or writers' attention to. Alrighty, there we go. Probably just would have been faster to scroll down to this, but oh well. I'm going to delete that one. Alrighty. Okay, so we finished up how we were going to describe the distance needed for escape runs. Let's see how we can do this. So hard mode for this is fewer checkpoints per track, or per course, I should say. Moderate is a reasonable amount. Easy is lots of checkpoints per course. I do think it still makes sense to track that by track segments, because we discovered last time that my testing track was something like 44 track segments or something like that. And that was kind of long, but even at half the length, hard setting for that would be basically one checkpoint and the finish line. Whereas easy at that point would be 4 checkpoints and the finish line, which that seems about right for me. That seems about right. That feels good. Just shooting from the hip there, you know. Okay, let's read back over what we wrote so far for this, just to kind of get back in the vibe of how this one was written. In this special challenge, the drivers are being pursued by someone else. It might be a friendly chase against a rival, or it might be that they're trying to ditch the cops on their tail. Either way, they have to escape. For this challenge type, there are two important aspects to consider. The first is how many spaces the drivers need to put between themselves and their pursuers by the time they reach a checkpoint or the finish line in order to get away. The second is how many checkpoints to include on the course. In the fiction, the distance needed for the driver to make good on their escape has to do with how hard they are being pursued. Sometimes all they need is a clear lead, but other pursuers may be more dogged. Here are 3 examples of how many spaces might be needed between a driver's vehicle and that of the NPC chasing them, not including the spaces that the vehicles occupy, for the driver to get away when they reach a checkpoint or the finish line. A dogged chase requires 15 spaces between vehicles, a deliberate chase requires 10 spaces between vehicles, and a casual chase requires 5 spaces between vehicles. So, in the context of this challenge, nope, I don't need to capitalize that. Checkpoints. Oh, why are you not formatted correctly? Excuse you. Checkpoints aren't somebody standing inside the course to wave a flag. It's something more literal. Points along course where we check where the distance between vehicles is checked at the end of the round. See who has gotten away. Player drivers do not need to land directly on a checkpoint. Activate it, but instead merely need to pass it during their turn. Okay, that feels good, that feels good. Oh goodness, let's see. Okay, every 5 track segments would be approximately 25 spaces. It's entirely possible for people to get up to speed 25 if they're pushing hard enough. So I should probably include a clause in there about if the driver manages pass 2 checkpoints during their turn, process is not effective. Hang on. special way. I want to say this is Sachiros and Minardi's theme from Golden Sun, but I'm not 100% on that. It's Dark Caverns. Okay. Alright, close but no cigar. I knew it was Golden Sun. Just didn't have the correct track. This process is not affected in any special way if the driver manages to pass 2 checkpoints during their turn. I kind of want to include a quip about, you know, though this tends to mean they'll be further ahead of their opponent. Which makes it more likely that they will escape successfully. Oh, actually, no, hang on. I don't need to be quippy. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so I'm going to come back to how we're going to refer to these in just a moment. Let's take a look at a specialty situation, because some of the drivers have gotten far enough ahead at a checkpoint, but others have not. You can elect to remove the drivers who've successfully escaped unless they want to stick around in the hopes of supporting their teammates. How this situation is handled is up to each group of players. Does that have a connection to anything else? It does not. So we're going to get rid of that. Alrighty. So let's work on names for checkpoint distances. The first name that comes to mind for the difficult one is Long Haul, but I kind of want to save that for the reliability gauntlet, which, let me actually put that down there. Long haul, particularly long courses. Oof. Coming up with a new term. Because, like, I could just leave it as hard, moderate, and easy. Like, easy escape has a nice, like, alliteration to it. Let's see. Thesaurus. Let's look for a different word. Escape. Outbreak, rescue, withdrawal. Oh, a difficult departure. Or a difficult disappearance. Hello! You don't want to break my concentration, but you're doing awesome. Hello, hello, hello. All good, all good. I'm just looking at different, like, synonyms for the term escape right now so that I can come up with, like, some pithy ways to differentiate, like, how to adjust difficulty in this particular race type. Glad to have you here, Yunko Meister. Today we are working on a TTRPG project called ProtoDrive. The full game is available on our itch store already, but we're adding a whole new section to it for people who want to GM longer games and create some more variety in race types. Right now, all the player-facing design stuff is out in the field. We have 13 chassis with 66 different parts to pick from, meaning you have just an obscene number of custom cars you can make. As far as the game's vibe goes, we're thinking like Initial D, Fast and the Furious, those sorts of things. Yeah. It's I think, as far as I'm aware, the first full game system to make use of the Massive Press license. It's all based in Lancer. No mechs in this game, no combat yet. That's coming via an expansion book later. But we specifically wanted the core rulebook to be all about racing. And like street races, rally races, delivery runs, reliability stuff, time trials, all that sort of fun stuff. So right now, like I said, we're working on essentially a GM section for the book so that you can, like I said, create a little bit more depth and detail in your campaigns. Oh, right, okay, so difficult disappearance, an easy escape. We gotta come up with something for the middle. Liberation, abdication, avoidance. An alright avoidance. No, that doesn't work at all. Ooh, I like evasion. For that, we're gonna, because it's called an escape challenge type already, so an easy escape. Just, yeah, evasion works a little bit nicer. I could go for a ready retreat. Let's also pull up moderate to see if we can finish this out with a bit of alliteration as well. Not as in calm and temperate. Person, I guess it would be calm and temperate. Oh, fair average. There we go. Okay. If I could find an M word, do you mind if chat suggests words or helps what you're working with? So, yes, I love it if chat can suggest some words. It's hard for me to say if I appreciate for y'all to help with what I'm working with. I definitely love it when people ask questions because when y'all ask questions, that also tells me where I'm not being clear enough and I need to figure out a better way to word rules and make sure that people are able to actually understand what they're playing. But yeah, if you got a word suggestion, throw it out there. Evasiveness, extrication, Hegira. Breaking away, getting away, outbreak, rescue, withdrawal. Withdrawal or like retreat. Both of those are good. Encampment, deliverance, dodging. Already done a D and an E. There's no real T, because trivial. Trivial makes it sound like that one's the easy one. A bland breakout. No, that's too boring. A fair flight. I'm not convinced. I'm gonna put that one in there right now. But if we come up with something better... not well versed on the setting. But what's the type of escape? Okay, so setting-wise, like, I have a default world that we play in, but, and, like, I'm gonna describe that in the GM book, but, like, this is not tied to one particular setting. But, okay, so let's read over the escape special challenge, just from the beginning to get you an idea of what kind of challenge we're working on right now. So, in this special challenge, the drivers are being pursued by someone else. It might be a friendly chase against a rival, or it might be that they're trying to ditch the cops on their tail. Either way, they have to escape. For this challenge type, there are two important aspects to consider. The first is how many spaces the drivers need to put between themselves and their pursuers by the time they reach a checkpoint or the finish line in order to get away. The second is how many checkpoints to include on the course. In the fiction, the distance needed for the driver to make good on their escape has to do with how hard they're being pursued. Sometimes all they need is a clear lead, but other pursuers may be more dogged. Here are 3 examples of how many spaces might be needed between a driver's vehicle and that of the NPC chasing them, not including the spaces that the vehicles occupy, for the driver to get away when they reach a checkpoint or the finish line. A dogged chase requires 15 spaces between vehicles, a deliberate chase requires 10 spaces between vehicles, and a casual chase requires 5 spaces between vehicles. In the context of this challenge type, checkpoints aren't someone standing beside the course to wave a flag, but something more literal. They are points along the course where the distance between vehicles gets checked at the end of the round to see who has gotten away. Player drivers do not need to land directly on a checkpoint to activate it, but instead merely need to pass it during their turn. This process is not affected in any special way if the driver manages to pass 2 checkpoints during their turn. So a difficult disappearance has 1 checkpoint for every 15 track segments. We're calling it a fair flight right now, has 1 checkpoint for every 10 track segments. Oh, very dramatic music today. We somehow went from Golden Sun to Golden Sun, it feels like. Are we not shuffling? No, we're shuffling. Okay. And an easy evasion has 1 checkpoint for every 5 track segments. If some drivers have gotten far enough ahead at a checkpoint but others have not, you can elect to remove the drivers who've successfully escaped unless they want to stick around in the hopes of supporting their teammates. How this situation is handled is up to each group of players. So that's the type of race that we're trying to define right now. And none of these have to be used exclusively by GMs. They're just like, oh, here are 6 specialty race types that you can use to make your sessions a little more spicy, you know? Fair flight. I mean, okay, it's kind of growing on me because a fair fight might be how you would think of like, oh, this, in a combat-based game, it would be like, oh, this CR matches yours. So a fair flight can be kind of like an interesting play on the words there. Fair-ish, inconsequential. A piddling. A piddling powder. Intermediate. Doesn't really jive with any of the words there. Again, I'm trying to be alliterative at this point because the other two are very alliterative. A practical pursuit. Practical pursuit's not bad. Practical to me would be more like if you were the chase car, though. Oh, which interesting idea. I should also include a paragraph here about how you can absolutely make the players the chase cars as well. So another way to use this special challenge. Not special challenge. To have the drivers take on the role of the chase car instead of the escapees. In this case, away the course distances and checkpoints would all be set up the same. But the player drivers would instead be trying to stay as close to the NPCs, no, to their opponents. I don't know, like, no. To the characters they're chasing. As possible in order to prevent their escape. There we go. Okay. So even though a practical pursuit didn't end up being good for the description, that still gave me a cool idea. So thank you very much for that. Another way to use this type of special challenge would be to have the drivers take on the role of the chase cars instead of the escapees. In this case, the course distances and checkpoints would all be set at the same. Let's make that singular. The course distance... Ooh, no, hang on. Escape distance and checkpoints would all be set at the same, but the player drivers would instead be trying to stay as close to the other characters, the characters they're chasing, as possible in order to prevent their escape. A decently daring dash. Okay. I think it being in 3 words is a bit much because we've been using 2-word descriptions. Oh, but we've already used a double D as well because we've got a difficult disappearance. Ah. Hang on a second. I'm gonna make a note of that because a decent dash is good. So if we can figure out something else that works for the hard mode, that could actually still work. So, ooh, okay. Could do something like a rough retreat. Not quite. Laborious Liberation works, technically, but is too much of a mouthful. Also used E already. Ambitious is a nice word, but there's nothing it pairs with well under escape. Like avoidance, but again, it's kind of a mouthful there, you know? Extrication, fade out, leave, lamb, rescue, withdrawal. I really wish there was a W because, like, a wearisome withdrawal, is that anything? Again, a fraught flight. Okay, a fraught flight actually works pretty well. Fraught flight versus a... So we can either have a fraught flight and a decent dash, or we can have a difficult disappearance and a fair flight. Okay, yeah, I like that. We'll go with a fraught flight. And a decent dash. Yeah, a fraught flight has 1 checkpoint for every 15 track segments. A decent dash has 1 checkpoint for every 10 track segments. And an easy evasion has 1 checkpoint for every 5 track segments. Yeah, that rolls well. That rolls well. Thank you very much for that. There we go. So, let's read this over again, just from top to bottom to see how well this section... Oh, a withering withdrawal! Ooh, which one of those do I like better? Because a fraught flight implies that there's going to be trouble along the way. But a withering withdrawal kind of pulls in that vibe of, like, this is going to take stamina. Because, like, it's every 15 track segments, which is each one being 5 spaces on its own. That's going to be 30 and 30 is 60 plus, so that's every 75 spaces. So even some of the fastest cars in the game would take 3 turns to move that far. A racked with retreat. Ooh. Ooh, okay, so it's not a direct alliteration, but it is a verbal alliteration, and that still works in my book. Racked retreat or a withering withdrawal. Okay, so what's the strength of a racked retreat? A racked retreat suggests a lot of stress, a lot of kind of rigidity. It's that idea of, like, muscles tensing and, you know, white knuckles on a steering wheel, that sort of thing. Ooh. Yeah, I think I like Racked Retreat a little bit better. Okay, so now that's competing with Fraught Flight, because a Fraught Flight kind of, again, still suggests that there's going to be trouble along the track, you know? Like we're fraught with worries and stress and all of those sorts of things. Ooh. Ooh, both of those are good. Racked Retreat versus a Fraught Flight. Oh, hello?
Someone's flirting with Dad again.
Okay, are we talking like stage flirting or like trying to get down his pants, kind of like climbing things flirting?
He sent me to get you.
Oh, nerds. Okay, all right. I'm gonna let this sit between Fraught Flight and Racked Retreat. I'm gonna just kind of percolate on it for a little while. We're gonna go to a commercial break so I can go save V. And I'm gonna run a commercial break while we're away. You know, you don't have to watch and sit and watch and all that sort of fun stuff, so stand up, stretch your legs, all that good stuff. But, you know, having commercials does help us pay the bills. So I will be back in 5 minutes, and we will hopefully have come to a decision on Fraught Flight versus Racked Retreat by then. But, yeah, we'll figure that out when we get there, okay? All right. Okay, so who is it this time? I know he's hot stuff, but, like, mine. Okay, we are back. I do think I'm gonna stick with Fraught Flight. Like, that one just... I don't know, that one sits a little bit better for me. But I'm probably gonna keep... Is there anywhere else we could use a Racked Retreat? Not really, but it's a good alliteration nonetheless, thank you. Okay, so let's do a read through again, just to make sure the whole thing feels good from start to finish. So, escape! In this special challenge, the drivers are being pursued by someone else. It might be a friendly chase against a rival, or it might be that they're trying to ditch the cops on their tail. Either way, they have to escape. For this challenge type, there are two important aspects to consider. The first is how many spaces the drivers need to put between themselves and their pursuers by the time they reach a checkpoint or the finish line in order to get away. The second is how many checkpoints to include on the course. In the fiction, the distance needed for the driver to make good on their escape has to do with how hard they are being pursued. Sometimes all they need is a clear lead, but other pursuers may be more dogged. Here are 3 examples of how many spaces might be needed between a driver's vehicle and that of the NPC chasing them, not including the spaces that the vehicles occupy, for the driver to get away when they reach a checkpoint or the finish line. A dogged chase requires 15 spaces between vehicles, a deliberate chase requires 10 spaces between vehicles, and a casual chase requires 5 spaces between vehicles. In the context of this challenge type, checkpoints aren't someone standing beside the course to wave a flag, but something more literal. They're points along the course where the distance between vehicles gets checked at the end of the round to see who has gotten away. Player drivers do not need to land directly on a checkpoint to activate it, but instead merely need to pass it during their turn. This process is not affected in any special way if the driver manages to pass 2 checkpoints during their turn. A Fraught Flight has 1 checkpoint for every 15 track segments. A Decent Dash has 1 checkpoint for every 10 track segments. And an Easy Evasion has 1 checkpoint for every 5 track segments. If some of the drivers have gotten far enough ahead at a checkpoint to escape, but others have not, let's remove the word you. GM can elect those drivers can elect to remove themselves from the race. And either remove themselves from the race or continue driving escaping as soon as they're able to, can help remaining, or can help further rounds pass more quickly. But continuing ahead of their teammates might provide them with opportunities, or might create opportunities to provide support. There we go. Opportunities to provide support. And then I think with that rewrite, this last sentence isn't actually needed anymore. So if some of the drivers have gotten far enough ahead at a checkpoint to escape, at a checkpoint, I think that's gonna roll a little bit better. but others have not. Some of the team's drivers. Hello, Mistborn! Welcome to the stream. We are still noodling away on the escape race type. The escape special challenge. At this point, we've got the entire description written, but it's a question of like finding the best wording to communicate the vibe that we're going for. I don't think that clause is necessary, because we've already established that only some of the team's drivers have gotten far enough ahead. Okay, so if some of the team's drivers have gotten far enough ahead to escape at a checkpoint, those drivers can either elect to remove themselves from the race, remove themselves from the course, in the initiative order, or continue driving. Escaping as soon as they're able to can help further rounds pass more quickly, but continuing ahead of their teammates might create opportunities to provide support. Other struggling drivers. Hang on, I gotta check something. I wanted to make sure that initiative is actually the term that I used here, because it's been a while since I wrote that section of the book. Their initiative and... okay. Their characters always have the upper hand on initiative, meaning they always get the chance to act first if they want to. This also means the GM can't ask for rolls until prompted by player actions. Okay. Okay, so for racing, I did include initiative as kind of a rolled initiative or you go, I go initiative. So that is a term that we used in the game. Good, 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 good. Oh wow, I am looking completely over my shoulder right now. Consistent terminology is vital. Good job checking. You would have forgotten. Yeah, fair enough. Like, this is... okay, so... I come at TTRPG design from a background in historical and anthropological research, and so... like, that's actually part of the reason why I started doing these streams, is because I'm very, very good at the categorization portion of this, at figuring out systems and figuring out stuff like that. But I need y'all to check me on, does this flow like a normal person would talk, and in a way that a normal person would read it and understand it? Because, like, I love my rules clarity, but also I get way too fucking wordy sometimes trying to explain things thoroughly, and yep, that's a problem. It's less of a problem in the GM section because we can kind of assume that the GM is going to have a little bit more dedication to understanding little nitty-gritty intricacies, but it's definitely a part of why I'm trying to put my work, like my work process, out in the public so that, you know, we can actually like produce a game that's enjoyable to play and run, you know? Okay. So, if some of the team's drivers have gotten far enough ahead to escape at a checkpoint, those drivers can either elect to remove themselves from the course and the initiative order, or continue driving. Escaping as soon as they're able to can help further rounds pass more quickly, but continuing ahead of their teammates might create opportunities to provide support for other struggling drivers. Another way to use this type of I think I'm fine without another sentence there saying ultimately the choice of whether or not to do this should be up to the drivers, because everything in this paragraph is very player forward rather than, you know, the GM can make this decision. So another way to use this type of special challenge would be to have the drivers take on the role of the chase cars instead of the escapees. In this case, the course, escape distance, and checkpoints would all be set up the same, but the player drivers would instead be trying to stay as close to the characters they're chasing as possible in order to prevent their escape. So I avoided using the term NPCs here because I did not want, like, I wanted to introduce the possibility that this is kind of a player versus player scenario. Because we avoid combat in this system, I am much less afraid of PvP than I would be in a more combat-forward system. Because half the fun of the game that we have found so far is trying to outbuild each other's vehicles. And, you know, so even within a party, you develop these friendly rivalries between, like, the person who runs the biggest, heaviest car and can, like, go through whatever obstacles the GM throws at them versus the person who has got to go fast at all times, drives in a straight line and cannot make turns to save their life. And so, like, you know, having them race against one another every once in a while isn't bad either. But I do want to say I used the term NPC. Yeah, I did. So let's... character chasing them. Okay, but now we have a little dangling word here at the bottom. So let's see if there's something we can either compress in this paragraph or make a little bit longer. This one felt a little bit clunky anyway, so removing something or clarifying a statement here might be the best. In the fiction, the distance needed for the driver to make good on their escape has to do with how hard they're being pursued. Sometimes all they need is a clear lead, but other pursuers may be more dogged. But at other times, their pursuers may be more dogged. Okay, that pursuant group feels a little technical. Yeah. Again, if I was writing for Magic the Gathering, that would be perfect, but because they love their rules lawyering. But I'm trying not to do that here. Like, this is already a complex enough game that, you know, I'm trying to simplify things as much as I can as I go. Sometimes all they need is a clear lead, but at other times their pursuers may be more dogged. More persistent, since I use dogged chase later. Plus, again, we get some nice alliteration there. Oh, it is an E instead of an A, isn't it? Here are 3 examples of how many spaces might be needed between a driver's vehicle and that of the character chasing them, not including the spaces that the vehicles occupy, for the driver to get away when they reach a checkpoint or the finish line. Okay, I'm happy with that. A dogged chase requires 15 spaces between vehicles, a deliberate chase requires 10 spaces between vehicles, and a casual chase requires 5 spaces between vehicles. In the context of this challenge type, checkpoints aren't somebody standing beside a flag, or standing beside the course to wave a flag, but something more literal. They're points along the course where the distance between vehicles gets checked at the end of the round to see who has gotten away. Player drivers do not need to land directly on a checkpoint to activate it, but instead merely need to pass it during their turn. This process is not affected in any special way if the driver manages to pass 2 checkpoints during their turn. Can you tell I've been burned by rules clarity issues in the past? A fraught flight has 1 checkpoint for every 15 track segments. A decent dash has 1 checkpoint for every 10 track segments. An easy evasion has 1 checkpoint for every 5 track segments. And if someone's team, or if some of a team's drivers have gotten far enough ahead to escape at a checkpoint, those drivers can either elect to remove themselves from the order, or from the course and the initiative order, or continue driving. Escaping as soon as they're able to can help further rounds pass more quickly, but continuing ahead of their teammates might create opportunities to provide support for other struggling drivers. Another way to use this this type of special challenge would be to have the drivers take on the role of chase cars instead of the escapees. In this case, the course, escape distance, and checkpoints would all be set up the same, but the player drivers would instead be trying to stay as close to the characters they're chasing as possible in order to prevent their escape. That felt pretty good to me, and I'm actually really happy with where it ends now because that finishes out a column, allowing us to start the next race or special challenge on a fresh new column. Did that feel good to everyone in the audience as well? Like, any comments, questions, concerns about it that I still need to kind of like expand upon? Take this opportunity to get some water and stretch a little bit, perhaps. Okay, sounds smooth. We have 1 for smooth. Okay. Okay. Alright, good back pops, good stretches. Okay, cool. Then let's move on to rally. Okay, so a rally race in real life is something where like you're really going from point A to point B, and the way that you get there is entirely up to the driver. So this one is going to be a fairly complex thing to design, but it's fairly simple to describe. Oh, but we should talk about the design of escape tracks before I move on. Dang, okay, so I need at least 1 more paragraph. Ah, well. Oh, goodness gracious. Or... designing courses for escape challenges. Nope, I do not want that capitalized, thank you. Is almost exactly the same as designing them for the standard circuit race. Main difference is the inclusion of the checkpoints. It can be tempting to only place checkpoints at the end of the track segments. No, I don't think that's correct. That checkpoints must be included. Which probably means that I should create a symbol for checkpoints as well that can be included in the asset file. Beans. Okay. That means I gotta add... Yeah, I gotta add a symbol for a checkpoint. Symbol below is a handy way to mark the last space in a track segment as a checkpoint. To be added. And I would do this right now, but I don't have a good way to broadcast things from my drawing tablet. Add checkpoint symbol. And because I'm left-handed, I can't really draw nicely on the computer, unfortunately. Designing courses for escape challenges is almost exactly the same as designing them for a standard circuit race. The main difference is that checkpoints must be included. The symbol below is a handy way to mark the last space in a given track segment, or in a track segment as a checkpoint, and then I'll add that symbol later. Okay, there we go. In custom courses. Delivery challenges in mind, be aware of how many corners are included. Yeah, no, again, like, you could literally just take a normal circuit race track and make it an escape track. No muss, no fuss. I do think I'm gonna bump this paragraph down to the next column just to have it in place, because it feels weird having just the first 2 lines of that be in the previous column, you know? Okay, so back to designing rally racing. Okay, so rally racing in real life is all about, you know, having a navigator and a driver in the vehicle that can figure out where you're going to and trying to figure out the smoothest path from point A to point B. You know, deciding, oh, okay, we've got a 20-degree turn coming up here. Turn left, turn left. I'm hearing on the radio that there's been a crash up ahead. Make sure to avoid this sort of a thing. They tend to be longer. Sometimes they are on specifically one track, but other times, you know, you have, like, I want to say it was the Outback Rally. Basically has no track whatsoever. You just have to get from the outskirts of one city to another city, and, you know, make your own track, as it were. So that's why I described it as a point-to-point race in my original little perspectives down here. This one's going to involve a little bit extra describing how it's designed. Rally challenges are some of the most difficult to design courses for. They can either be intend to include additional pathways for drivers to take. There's a fine balance between the desire to make every path equal and to create unique difficulties on each one. Equally manageable. Yeah, okay, that's good. I'll come back and fill that in a little more later once we describe the actual race itself. Okay. How to start this one? Rally special challenge. Is complex from both player and GM. From the perspective of both players and GMs. Yeah, it doesn't quite feel right. Is perhaps the most complex challenge one in this list. From the perspective of players, a rally involves most decision-making and I'm trying to come up with a way to describe that there are, like, I want to do random obstacles for the rally challenge. Like, at the end of the round, like, there is a random roll and somebody is going to have to deal with an obstacle of some sort, you know? So, but it also has to do with choosing what path they're following. So a rally involves the most decision-making and the most snap decision-making and even involve actual navigation. There we go. This means that GM also have significantly more material to prepare in order to accommodate It's two M's in accommodate, isn't it? There you go. These added options. Additional options? No, that doesn't quite work either. The Rally Special Challenge is perhaps the most complex one on the list. From the perspective of players, a rally involves the most snap decision making and can even involve the actual navigation. From the view of... no. For GMs, on the other hand, provide so many options, thus have significantly more material to prepare. That's better, but it still doesn't quite work. Okay, what am I trying to get across in this first one? I'm trying to get across... I need to describe what a rally actually is. At its narrowest, rally is still just a single track, one where obstacles are far more common. And scale up to include multiple pathways. However, I feel like I'm on the right track, but something has gone wrong somewhere. At its most basic, rally can be just a single track, but one where obstacles are far more common. It's fairly normal. However, it's fairly normal to include multiple That's just wrong. Its is no longer... Oh, I see why it was doing that, because I had another however in there. However, it's fairly normal for a rally. Rally to include multiple pathways from its starting line to its finish, allowing drivers to pick their poison. So, the Rally Special Challenge is perhaps the most complex one in this list. On this list? On this list. At its most basic, a rally can be just a single track, but one where obstacles are far more common. However, it's fairly normal for a rally to include multiple pathways from its starting line to its finish, allowing the drivers to pick their poison and whatever comes their way. Whatever problems come their way. There we go. So, the Rally Special Challenge is perhaps the most complex on this list. At its most basic, a rally can be just a single track, but one where obstacles are far more common. However, it's fairly normal for a rally, I'm going to say for this challenge type, to include multiple pathways from its starting line to its finish, allowing the drivers to pick their poison and deal with whatever problems come their way. I'm going to go with actually, instead of allowing, requiring. Because once you've started a rally, like, there's no choice. Like, there's no getting out of having to make a choice at some point. You have to look at the track and say, okay, well, I can kind of see that, like, this area goes into some dirt a little bit. I'm equipped for off-roading stuff, so I may be able to gain an advantage if I go that direction. Or, you know, this section has a lot of straight lines, but is also in a, like, an avalanche zone. And so, you know, maybe I don't want to take that path because I don't want to get my car crushed, or maybe I think I can race through it and be at as little risk as possible. So, okay, cool. Yeah, that feels good there. So, from the perspective of players, a rally involves the most snap decision-making of all the challenge types. And can even involve actual navigation and course awareness. On the GM's side of the board, the complexity comes from creating oh, nope, got another lyric song.
Listen.
Alright. Like, I love the Bastion soundtrack, but also, oof, I don't want to be talking over lyrics, you know what I mean? On the GM side of the board, side of the table, complexity comes from having...
I hate to interrupt your stream, my little flower.
No, you're
But
fine.
there's a customer issue out front.
Oh, okay. Are we talking a little issue or a big issue?
Just the former.
Okay, little issue's fine. Alright, I'm gonna finish up this sentence and I'll be right with you, sweetie. On the GM side of the table, the complexity comes from having to create so many options and obstacles that may or may not even get to see the light of day. Obstacles. Make special challenge shine. Okay, so I'm gonna go take 5 minutes, deal with whatever this customer needs, and I will be back before you know it. So as usual, I'm gonna run a commercial while we're away, stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. You don't have to watch it. Lord knows I'm not going to make you watch whatever commercial for yogurt or beer or whatever they're running on these but hey, it helps me pay the bills, helps me keep streaming, and it helps me keep creating. So I look forward to seeing you back here in 5 minutes or so, okay? All right, talk to you soon. All right, sweetie, is it a pricing issue? Is it a, someone just not happy with the food, or they need somebody specific? Like, what's going on? Sorry, got a little caught up because we've apparently got new units coming in G Gundam or Gundam Eternal, whatever the Chibi SD Gundam Tactics game is called. Looks like we've got 2 new EX units. Oh, they gave the Xiong a new EX upgrade. Okay, that's interesting. Still not what I'm looking for, but okay. The other one is the Gundam Astaroth Renacimento. Which, not one that I'm necessarily interested in either, but it is what it is. Can't always have all the nice things, you know? But that's going to be a problem for me later. Okay. And this, music-wise, just the fight theme? Oh, the boss battle theme from the original Golden Sun. Okay, so what are the things that we need to care about for rallies? Those are going to be how many pathways we have. On the GM side of the table, the complexity comes from having to create so many options and obstacles to make this special challenge shine. These can be broken down into pathways, and I don't want to, like, obstacles is a specific thing within the system. Challenges is literally what we're writing right now. I guess random events? Does that make sense? And random events. Okay. Let's see. Part of the fun of rally challenges is figuring out the fastest way to navigate from point A to point B. Simplest version of this is just knowing what turns and terrain is coming up. How well our car can handle them. The version of this is just making sure drivers know turns and terrain is coming up and how well their cars can handle them. What in the world are we listening? Oh wow, this is Baten Kaitos? Okay, okay. Neat. Okay. I'd forgotten that it did this kind of thing towards the end. by creating multiple pathways. I don't want to use the term however again here because I just used it in the last... Or did I not? No, I didn't. I used it two paragraphs ago. By introducing multiple pathways, however, this gives drivers the opportunity to strategize around how their vehicles are built to try and optimize their performance on the course. No. Since either of these options requires a bit of study beforehand, it's best to show the course to the players ahead of time. Give them space to make decisions about how they want to approach it. Okay. Hello, Weather. Hello, hello, hello. We are working on ProtoDrive today. Still working on the special challenge types, but we have finished up both the delivery and the escape special challenges, and are now working on rally challenges. You see your honest reaction to you agreeing with you on the Kriji brother take? Go for it, buddy. Go for it. Appreciate ya. It has been a while since I hydrated, so thank you very much for that. But yeah, Kiji brother had the opportunity to be like the best wife guy, and then ruined it absolutely towards the end of the series. So, oh well. His loss. So, since either of these options requires a bit of study beforehand, it's best to show the course to the players ahead of time and give them space to make decisions about how they want to approach it. To help manage a level of complexity, here are some suggestions about how many pathways should be included. So again, as per usual, we're going to include a small point. Also nice, doing some work. Yep. In my opinion, his ass was already ruined for me when he let a civilian die. Oh, 100% yes. Like, that should have been the tip-off that he was not as good of a person as he was trying to make himself out to be, and that the comedy of that show wanted him to be. You know what I mean? Okay, so. Okay, so an extremely complex. We're going to go with a wide open course. Should have 5 pathways to choose from. A managed. No, I'm gonna leave that for now. I'm not 100%. Should have 3 pathways to choose from. Did I do? No, I didn't. Okay. What? Hang on. Alright, folks, I need to step away for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I'm not going to go to a break screen because I will be right back. Yeah, I need to step away real quick. Okay, we are back. Had a call from somebody that I need to decline. Now they are texting me about that. Just one moment. Da, 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 da. All right, now we're back. We're back. Woo. All right, so what do we want to call the easy one? This is one that has, I almost feel like a managed, a wide open, closed off course. Almost makes sense. Yeah, I'll go with the closed off course. Of 1 pathway. Should only have one pathway. Right, as gorgeous as this is, I am going to skip it, because again, lyrics. I'm still not sure about a managed course. Like, that one feels a little bit off, you know? Again, like, I like having two-word titles for things. I don't want to go with, like, ooh, a curated course. That feels pretty good. I want to go with another alliteration here because we haven't done alliteration anywhere else. Like a carefully curated course. Let's look at some synonyms again. Careful. Or maybe I'm thinking about it too hard. Maybe it's just a curated course. Yeah, I think I'll leave it as a single word. Because curated has enough syllables in it that it feels like two words, even if it isn't actually two words. So it should have 3 pathways to choose from. Other thing that's necessary for a good rally challenge is challenge. I don't just want to say obstacles because if I recall correctly, obstacles is the term that I want to use, but it's not the one that I want to use right now. Oh, is it not? Huh. Hang on a second. What? Okay, well now I need to check about terms I used for this. Car structure, talents, setting clocks, downtime, racing. Okay, now we're getting into it. Starting races, turn structure, driving checks, actions, complications, statuses and conditions, wear and tear, objects and damage. Okay, let's take a look at complications. Let's see. Okay, I need to... Okay, so the other thing that's necessary for a good rally challenge is obstacles. You know, because it's not a keyword, I can just use that here. That's fine. me rearrange my windows so I can see what y'all are actually up to. Okay, there we go. These typically come in the form of creatively used complications. Other random events created especially for this challenge. Hello, Valdaris! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are working on ProtoDrive, like street racing and otherwise, types of like car and vehicle racing TTRPG that I have been one of the main designers on. Right now we are working on the GM section of the book, which has yet to be released. If you would like to try out the player section of the book, you can find it at this URL, which I'm going to go ahead and share with y'all right now. Bop. Like I said, the full player portion of the book is completely released and out in the world right now, with 13 chassis and 66 parts to choose from, plus a character sheet builder, so that you can get racing as fast as possible. The basic setting is modern with sci-fi elements. It's that 5 minutes into the future vibe, where we don't think too hard about what fuels the cars. In my opinion, it's probably some kind of reactor, but not actual gasoline anymore. But you can absolutely do gas and diesel engines and all those sorts of things. And there's definitely some references to the effects of gas and diesel engines in some of the parts. Or you could run it as an actual sci-fi thing. And we had a couple of people, or one person, seem interested in actually writing a sci-fi supplement for it. I think it was Circuit. But if you're familiar with Lancer, you know how the system works roughly. There are a lot of things that we had to adapt for it, like the fact that there is no combat. It's all handled in race and handled on the track. If things are coming to violence, we're gonna throw fists, and it very quickly becomes that Fast and the Furious, let's take this outside and get the rubber on the road, that sort of a thing, pedal to the metal and see who's really right, that sort of nonsense. Very Initial D, very Fast and the Furious, that sort of a thing. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so we had to adapt a lot of systems to that, but if you've played Lancer, like I said, you'll know how to build a car. You'll know how character progression works. You'll know roughly how all of the systems work. And it's just a little bit of a hop and a skip, because, driving cars is different from fighting mechs, And right now we are specifically trying to sort of define how rally races work in this system, and the special challenges that come with them. We've gotten pretty good wording about how you can set up multiple pathways for rally races, and that knowing the course is a major part of what's coming. So the other thing that's necessary for a good rally challenge is obstacles to overcome. These typically come in the form of creatively used complications and other random events created especially for this challenge type. While the use of randomized tables is encouraged, do you like some racing and some rally and some semi-futuristic? Yeah, you should definitely check it out then. For the low price of free or a donation of a couple of bucks. It is relatively low art right now because our artist has our visual artist has a day job that he has to work, and is just doing art for us on the sides. And I am focusing on writing the actual rules section to make it playable. so that even if we don't have the best looking book, it'll be a really tightly written book. You know what I mean? Eventually, on top of all of the custom art and custom card designs that our artist is working on, I'm also looking into finding like some stock footage of car races and stuff like that to add like random backgrounds and the like. But that's kind of a low priority for me right now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Use of randomized tables is encouraged. Due to, you know, oh, where was I going with this? I think like randomized tables in this case are great if you want to create them, but they should not be hidden. So their contents should not be hidden from the players or their characters. This departure from tradition is to help better simulate studying the track beforehand, studying the course beforehand. The day of the race, so that should not typically be hidden from the players or their characters. This departure from tradition is to help better simulate the characters studying the course for the day of the race, so they have the best chances possible. There we go. Oh, I left out a word. I feel like there's something I've forgotten here. To become in the form of creatively used complications and other random events created especially for this challenge type. Complications. Will be fairly obvious on the course. Oops. Do the usual symbols indicate things like weather and changes in incline. Random events up into a random player at the end of each round. Normally pulled from a randomized table designed for the pathway they took. For instance, if the driver decided to take straight mountain pass over the more winding dirt road. Oh, no. For instance, in the random table, or a straight mountain pass. Might look like this. Okay, and instead of the point list that I normally do here, I am instead going to pull up and copy a 1d6 table I've got elsewhere. Here we go. Great mountain pass. Okay, we're not going to be able to get this whole thing. Can we do pathway 1? If I do that, how much does that compress things? Oh, beans! Okay. Alright, is there some way I can shorten this? Well, okay, hang on. Let's fill out the table first. Okay, rocks fall. River's vehicle takes 2d6 damage. I can just say the vehicle takes 2d6 damage. Washed out road. No? That is not correct? No, we'll go with the driver's vehicle. 2d6 damage. Washed out road. The driver must make a control check. DC. Ooh. Say a DC 20 control check. That may need to be adjusted later. But that's what taking notes are for. In addition to any other checks you make at the end of the round. Okay, what's other stuff that might happen on a mountain pathway? I kind of want to make a joke about the large boulder the size of a small boulder. Boulder in the path. On the path. that is an existing thing within the system that's a complication or an object. Well, hang on though. No, I know I did something for this. Statuses and conditions. Complications, corners, reactions. Because there's a specific thing about like, oh, it's a hazard type. Of course it is. Okay. Okay. So I want to say that is that also a control check, or is that a... Because there's two types of hazards. So let's check that. Let's do a half hazard first. Okay, so half hazards require a control check. Either way, you'll get past the obstruction. Oh, right. Because the DC for control checks... Oh, thank you very much. Oh, it's a good idea to stretch. Okay, thank you very much for the stretch break. I needed that, actually. Control checks don't have a set DC. It's more a question of your speed versus any sort of difficulties presented by the road. So a boulder on the path should instead be a full hazard, because a half hazard is just another way of creating a control check. Whereas a full hazard requires a pass check DC 15. Oh, hello?
The fire brought a gross bug inside again.
Okay, does he still have a hold of it, or did he let it loose?
It's in a jar, but Lynn's looking at it like it's candy.
Okay, keep her from eating it for a couple of minutes. I'll be there to help in just a moment. I want to finish this description and then I'll be right with you, okay, sweetie? Okay, so boulder on the path. We'll say the driver encounters a full hazard. Requiring a DC 15. Did I say pass check? Yes. Actually, I can just, like, a full hazard is just a thing. Let me go back and do some folding on these. Okay, so, if I do, or like, when, I shouldn't say if, I should say when I do end up doing a Return of the Dawnbringers stream to get that game out the door, we will absolutely be listening to the Boktai soundtracks pretty much that entire session, because those games are the ones that mainly inspired that system, and realistically, I only have the map for the first dungeon left to do before that can see release, at least in a very basic form. Okay, so that's 3 parts of this complete. I'm gonna go make sure LaFarlane doesn't feed his littlest sister a bug. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Gonna run a commercial. You know the gist at this point. Stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. And we will be back very, very soon. All right? All right, little man. Keep that lid. Do not open that. Do not open that. Don't let that fly around. Okay, we are back. Oh, why is my chair unlocked? Okay. I did change the main description at the top of the table back to Mountain Pass. Like, yes, it takes up 2 spaces, but I don't know, like, that just... that feels better than just saying, like, Pathway 1. Okay, let's think of other things. Thank you very much, Valdaris. Let's think of other things that you might encounter on a mountain pass. Okay, so I know what scree is. So scree on the tarmac. It's basically like the little like pebbles that you might encounter. So scree on the tarmac. So roll 1d6 and one and uphill incline, roll 1d6 and decrease the vehicle's speed by the result. A downhill incline, roll 1d6. Hang on, I feel like there's a way I could do the roll 1d6 a single time. So roll 1d6. On an uphill incline, decrease the vehicle speed by the result. On a downhill incline, increase the vehicle's speed by the result. On a flat road, roll a control check. Check with the AC raised by the result. Yeah, that feels good. So, scree on the tarmac. Scree is, let me double check that I'm... Scree on road. No, not screw. Green roads. Okay, am I remembering the wrong term here then? Hang on, let me search for that in another window just in case. Also, if y'all saw some porn or hentai flashed up there, sorry about that. There wasn't any content, but there may have been a URL from like a favorites thing or something like that. Scree definition. Collection of broken rock fragments at the base of a cliff, or other steep rock that... Okay, no, I was remembering correctly. Oopsie doopsie, yep. Listen, no visual content was shared. But, you know, hey, I am in the adult entertainment industry. We gotta study our techniques just as much as any other industry. All that good stuff. Okay, so yeah, scree on the tarmac. So yeah, it's like those places on mountain roads and or places where like, oh, there was mud, so we spread out rocks and things like that. So does this feel like a good explanation for how that should operate? Scree on the tarmac. Roll 1d6. On an uphill incline, decrease the vehicle's speed by the result. On a downhill incline, increase the vehicle's speed by the result. On a flat road, roll a control check with the DC raised by the result. Do not know why, but I thought you were going to say study the competition. Study the competition. I mean, listen, I could be competitive about that shit, but honestly, no. Like, everybody who is a customer has their own preferences, and so, like, it's... Like, if you prefer another performer, okay, you prefer another performer, you know? Yeah, honestly, like, that's how I view it. I'd rather get along with people and learn things from them rather than, you know, trying to compete for viewers, you know? Why fight when we can work together? But anyway. Is there a better way of doing this? Because I almost feel like this should cause a control check no matter what. No, I think only having the control check on the flat incline makes sense, because when you encounter scree on an uphill, you're really just fighting the loss of traction. But it doesn't really put you out of control most of the time. I mean, arguably, if we were going for like a realistic simulationist approach, we could do that, but I'm trying not to be simulationist with this. Like, there are some simulationist elements to the game, but I actually got rid of a lot of the simulationist stuff in order to increase how quickly and simply the game plays. So I think just decreasing speed or increasing speed in an inconvenient way makes the most sense, and only involving that control check on a flat road where it could just fuck with your traction makes the most sense. So scree on the tarmac, roll 1d6. And I think I'm just gonna bold this as well. No, No, we're gonna bold uphill incline, downhill incline, and flat road. No, that's not at all what I wanted to do. That was Control V, not Control B. To indicate where people should be reading, if, you know, based on what the incline is. Okay, so we've done Rocks Fall, we've done a washed out road, we've done a boulder on the path, and we've done scree. What else might we do? I mean, we could do clear conditions. Clear conditions. There is no additional obstacle. They might get lucky. And again, this is just the example table, you know? Also, I would be very impressed if anybody knew where this particular piece of music comes from. Give you a few seconds to figure that out, or at least until the end of the song. It's about 30 seconds, yeah, actually. The answer is Khan's Heart from Sunless Sea. Oh, this is another great guessing game piece of music. I'm not going to make you guess, though, because, like, this one, I have a feeling I'm the oldest person here, most likely. And so I'm the only person who would recognize it. This is the Temple of Ashinar from Myst, which is a fan-fucking-tastic point-and-click adventure game if you're into those sorts of things. But then again, if you are into those sorts of things, you probably have already played this. Oh, it might be fun to do Myst as a 5th Saturday at some point. Just to get some audience interaction on it, because it's been long enough that I probably wouldn't remember the answers to a lot of those puzzles. Okay, let's... I was going to say remain unimpressed. With regards to what? Like as a track obstacle? Oh, you've not played Myst since it was like new. Oh, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Hey, you know, I'm always impressed when there are other people who are my age. Oh yeah, no, I guess that is literally what I said, isn't it? It's always fun to run into others who are of my generation, shall we say. Yeah, no, I really should go back and replay Myst. I was disappointed to find out that the people who are behind it, who are now trying to make new games, were like, oh, well, maybe we'll explore some of this like generative AI stuff to make the production of this next game easier. And it's like, okay, no, I don't need to play the new game then. I'm just gonna play the existing stuff that I've had in my library for decades. Because I actually have the Myst soundtrack on CD. Like I found it in a library sale bin, like 15 years ago. They were like, yeah, we're getting rid of old stock, and you know, like just stuff nobody's checked out in a really long time. And so I got it for like maybe $3, maybe $5, I think. Yeah, oh no, I had to donate money to the library in order to get a great soundtrack from a really fantastic game. Oh no. Talking about the music, impressed if someone else says, yeah, no, I got there. I reminded myself of what I said. Like, part of the problem is half the time I don't remember what I've said after I've said it. Like, that's a big reason why I started, weirdly, why I actually started getting into TTRPG design, because I was already in the habit of making really complex notes and things like that when I was just running other systems. And so I started getting ideas for like, oh, here's special challenges I could do for people and this, that, and the other thing. And that very quickly evolved into, well, if I've already written this scenario down with so much detail so that I would remember how I wanted to run it, I may as well, you know, put it out in the world in some way, shape, or form, you know? Yeah. And so like I started becoming like a full systems at a certain point, you know? Okay, so I want to do something with like a short-term rainstorm, but I want to double check. 'Cause I know I did weather as a thing, as a complication before. Okay, so rainstorms really only modify, like, or change corner modifiers. Okay, so that's not really gonna be a thing. What's at least one more obstacle you might face on a mountain pass? Something unique to mountain passes. Ooh, okay. Locked view. Okay. Like, I'm thinking of those places in mountain passes where, like, there's just enough of a wall or just enough trees that you can't really see what's coming around the corner. And I think I'm going to give players a choice here. The driver must choose one. Must choose to either reduce their speed by 5 or add +5 to the DC of their next control check. Does that make sense? Like, essentially the scenario that I'm doing is like, okay, am I going to drive safely? Am I going to reduce my speed because I don't know what's coming up? Or face additional danger in my next control check? Blocked view. The driver must choose to either reduce their speed by 5 or add +5 to the DC of their next control check. I feel like that is pretty self-explanatory. Does the bold make sense as like, here are the two choices you're being presented with? I'll make the word choose bold as well. And insert a column break there. Ugh, I hate that it leaves an empty line here. But oh well. Not much I can do about that. Okay. Okay, the other thing that's necessary for a good rally challenge is obstacles to overcome. These typically come in the form of creatively used complications and other random events created especially for this challenge type. While complications will be fairly obvious on the course thanks to the usual symbols to indicate things like weather and changes in incline, random events happen to a random player at the end of each round. Normally pulled... Oh, wow, okay. I used... the word random a lot in that paragraph, so we're gonna try and make that its own little sub-paragraph in order to take up some of this room. No, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. Should be obvious on the course. Thanks to the usual symbols used. Thanks to the symbols used to indicate things like weather and changes in incline. Random events happen. I'm gonna remove the term random there. Events happen to a randomly decided player. No, I think I can just say random player. At the end of each round, normally pulled from a table designed for the pathway they took. For instance, the table for a mountain pass pathway might look like this. Okay, that feels a little better. The other thing that's necessary for a rally challenge is obstacles to overcome. These typically come in the form of creatively used these can take the form of creatively used complications. Or random events. Created especially for this challenge. For the course. I mean, because we're all always talking about while complications should be obvious on the course, thanks to the symbols used to indicate things like weather and changes in incline, events happen to a random player at the end of each round, normally pulled from a table. Normally pulled from a table designed for the pathway they took. For instance, the table from a mountain pass might look like this. And then we do that because there's just not quite enough space here for the full table. So I'll have to create a graphic or something to kind of create some interest in the bottom of that column. So mountain pass, rocks fall, the driver's vehicle takes 2d6 damage. Washed out road, the driver must make a control check in addition to any other checks they make at the end of the round. Boulder on the path, the driver encounters a full hazard. Scree on the tarmac. I'm going to say the driver suddenly encounters a full hazard, just to kind of indicate that, you know, this is like, oh, hey, end of your turn, you are also having to make this check. Sorry, I also need to turn up my fan over there, so it shouldn't create any additional noise in the microphone, but let me know if it does. Scree on the tarmac, roll 1d6. On an uphill incline, decrease the vehicle's speed by the result. On a downhill incline, increase the vehicle's speed by the result. On a flat road, roll a control check with the DC raised by the result. Oh. Hello, Ogre Daddy. Ratmos said you should come here because some house is on fire. I mean, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. I mean, well, maybe give me a hydrate check and we can put out that fire. But today we are working on ProtoDrive, which is the driving TTRPG that I think I mentioned, but maybe not. I don't know. But essentially, thank you very much for the hydrate, Redeem. I will be sure to moisten myself accordingly. But yeah, today we are working on ProtoDrive, which is a sort of like street racing RPG. Think along the terms of like Initial D or Fast and the Furious, those sorts of things. It is built on the Lancer system, making, I'm pretty sure, is the first full-blown system to make use of Massif's community license. But, you know, there's no combat or anything in the base game. Oh, great. We're in Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles music, I want to say. So yeah, as I was saying, no combat, because, you know, if our dramatic racers are going to take, you know, like oh goodness, sorry, you've caught me at a bad moment. I was neck deep in thinking about how this table should be designed, so like I'm not in good describing mode right now. So yeah, if there's conflict between drivers, you know, the normal reaction isn't just to like throw fists, it's to like, let's get the rubber on the road, let's take this outside and see who's best behind the wheel and solve our problems that way. Because again, it's the Fast and the Furious, you know. There may be like 1 or 2 punches thrown, but like that's not the way we resolve conflicts in driving teams, you know. So right now we are working on different special challenge types for GMs to present. The player-facing part of the book is already out and available at, and I'm going to go ahead and post that. Oh, yeah, there we go. At this link. It's completely free, but if you want to donate a couple of bucks to help continue development, always appreciated. Or alternatively, oh, you've read about Lancer. Okay, so Lancer is a very, like, it started off as a hack of D&D 4th edition, because 4th's combat system was actually really, really good, even if it wasn't, like, the best role-playing system out there. And so essentially it's all about, like, just for instance, in ProtoDrive, we've got 13 basic chassis you can choose from, and then 66 different parts you can choose from to equip onto those chassis in order to create the most complex custom vehicle you can imagine. Combat in cars, though. Mad Max Twisted Metal expansion confirmed. You're not wrong. We do plan to have an expansion called Angry Andy, specifically to make the reference to Mad Max at a later date. This is going to include new chassis for every company in the game, the addition of like combat or of like weapon mounts and things like that, and the re-addition of combat rules to the system. But that's very much an additional expansion that we want to do one day. I need to finish up the GM section first. Very much agree. 4th edition streamlined combat felt very video gamey to me back then. Yeah, well, and like that was actually a thing that they talked about in developer interviews for 4th edition. They were looking at what World of Warcraft was doing at the time and trying to streamline their combat around a very MMO vibe. So you're 100% correct with that. And Lancer took that concept and built upon it to create extreme customization options for mech combat, and very much feels like y'all are the hero mechs fighting a bunch of random mooks in a scenario. It's incredible. I love Lancer, but it depends on, like, mech combat wise, it depends on what you want to run. If you want to run like, you know, big, slow, chunky mechs, run Battletech. If you want to do Armored Core, run Lancer. If you want to do Anthem or like Daemon X Machina, then that is actually, oh goodness gracious, there was an indie game, I want to say it was made by Sheela RPGs. Here, let me check that real quick. Sheela RPG mech game. It's not Rune. It's Nova. Nova. That's the one. And that one's for like Anthem, or I want to say their main inspiration on that one was Warframe. Armored Core 3 or Armored Core 6? Okay, so Lancer is more Armored Core 6. but it can be Armored Core 3. You've asked a trick question without realizing it. It really depends on how you build your mech, is the thing. So there are some slower, heavier options that do deal more with control stuff, but there are also blindingly fast options, which I guess would be more like, I don't know, I felt like Armored Core 6 was more of a balance between the two, whereas Armored Core 4 and 5 were more speed, motherfucker, if you get my drift. Like 6 is still pretty fast paced, but it's not as blindingly fast paced as 4 and 5 got to be. Goodness gracious, sorry, I just felt my sugar crash. Why not both? Like that's kind of what Lancer wanted to do, and as a result, that's also what I've done with ProtoDrive's rules. Each company has a different specialty. Okay, now we're getting off track. That's fine. Hang on, I'm gonna make a note for myself to come back here and work here when I get back to it. So let me show off the. We're gonna go with just like the 5 different companies, because like as I'm scrolling through this, you can see just how many parts and things we have in the system. So let's start talking about the common motor group. So every level in ProtoDrive, much like levels in Lancers, gives you an additional license to successfully derail talking robots. Well, I mean, I'm going to focus on my game right now, but you know, this part of the system is exactly the same as it is in Lancer. So for ProtoDrive, we have 5 different companies that you can get cars and parts from, right? So everybody has access to the parts and the chassis from the Common Motor Group. Common Motor Group, or CMG for short, is the largest international supplier of consumer vehicles. It's run by a combination of governmental oversight committees that help ensure that nobody who needs transportation goes without, and is an enormous part of maintaining the concept of universal compatibility amidst the vehicle market. Essentially, like, this is something I straight up stole from Lancer via their open license. And that's that, like, all chassis and all parts work with all other chassis and parts. So, like, the idea is, like, everything uses universal fittings, and you can create extremely customized things using any of the parts you have available at any given time. So that's what universal compatibility is. Despite being a newer manufacturer than the Big Four, CMG has factories in every major country and distribution routes that take them everywhere else. This reliability, along with the consistent sturdiness of their chassis and parts, no matter what facility made them, makes CMG vehicles the plumb bob for quality. There's a reason that their most common model is called the Standard. Everyone else has to measure up to it. All CMG chassis, parts, upgrades, and licenses are available to all drivers, starting from sponsorship level 0. That's the leveling system in ProtoDrive. The default CMG car is the Standard, a reliable all-rounder chassis. So we then talk about upgrades, which are special things that don't require part slots. Then we get into different parts. So we have engines, we have tires, we have transmissions, we have intake and exhaust systems, we have brakes, we have steering systems, and then we have mods, which are kind of, you know, they're just like generic upgrades and things like that. But upgrades are more about like, this affects the whole car, whereas mods affect specific things. And then, as I mentioned before, the CMG Standard, measure up. It is the basic chassis that everybody has access to at the beginning of a campaign. So in this case, the Standard is a hyper-flexible chassis most people will drive for their whole lives. Not only does it have equipment that performs well under almost any conditions, but its body kit can be modified in any number of aesthetic ways to give it some personal flair. Despite its name, this means that it's rare for any 2 standards to be truly alike. And so, like, the idea for the Standard versus, like, and like, in Lancer terms, the Everest, is that you could straight up just drive the Standard for the entire campaign. You would pick up other licenses at other sponsorship levels, but if you just want to drive a Standard and add extra parts and mods in from other cars, you absolutely can do that, you know? So, moving right along, you know, just a very short entry there because it doesn't have any additional parts or licenses that go along with it. We've got bold motors, to boldly go. Old motors got to start making the muscle cars of yesteryear. That heart still beats within them, but these days they've crossed new frontiers and pushed even further afield. Those powerful motors that once dragged their cars along the straight highways now find new connections thanks to their top-of-the-line off-roading technology, alongside safety measures that keep the kids in back comfortable even under the worst conditions. They're rugged and do well on straights, but fail in curves and tend to be rather heavy. For drivers that favor the body mechanic skill. And this is getting into some of the statistics that are available in the game. But yeah. Let's see. The Bold Brumby. This was kind of our archetypical car for Bold. You know, out back or out front, you're still out there. The Bold Brumby looks exactly like its name sounds. Tough, rugged, and rural. What it lacks in modern amenities, it more than makes up for in toughness. It combines a signature set of rail-mounted lights with a transmission that can adjust itself for slippery road conditions and tires that can crawl through even the swampiest mud. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of kind of where we're going with our design stuff. Then we've also got Murakami for the week and the weekend. This is Japanese-style cars built for the inner city. Very maneuverable, but typically lightweight, and not very many mods. Mod slots built into it, because like if you're not involved in like the car scene, Japanese cars by standards tend to lean more towards a design aspect of we made it this way on purpose, you shouldn't be modifying it. Now that's not to say people don't mod the hell out of their Japanese cars, but it's, as far as the companies are concerned, they're like, no, we made it that way on purpose, don't do anything to it, it's perfect for exactly what we designed it for. Then we've got Wright Clark, What You Want. This is kind of based on British kit cars. So like lots of mods, but a little bit unstable because it was built in a garage. You know what I mean? And we've had a lot of fun with this one just because, like, you know. Oh, hello?
Mom, have you seen Mr. Grumbles?
No, did you lose track of her again?
Can you help me find her?
Yeah, sure thing, sweetie. We wouldn't want a skunk wandering into customer areas. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up my descriptions real quick, and then, oh, you need to find a car that fits moving house the best. Okay, so believe it or not, that is actually going to be, I want to say it's the MHI Yosei, and I don't have a picture for this one, but we based this one on the Toyota Pixis. It's literally a moving van. It's a box truck. The MHI Yosei is always on time. This urban delivery truck might look comically small to the casual observer, but it's not to be underestimated. Though it lacks the high-tech steering miracles of its brethren, the fact that everything about the Yosei is designed to safely haul goods from distributors to stores through the densely populated stop-start traffic of city streets makes a surprisingly good race vehicle. And my favorite thing about this is that its core power is anti-isekai braking. That's right, it's a key truck designed not to send you into another world. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and make sure that we find the skunk before she finds our customers. She's been de-stunk, but yeah, it's still a scary moment when you look down and see a skunk at your feet. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. We're going to run a commercial while we're away. You folks stand up and stretch. You don't have to watch, but the commercials do help us keep the lights on and help me creating interesting things. So I will see you all in 5 minutes, all right? Okay, sweetie, where was the last place you saw Mr. Grumbles? We are back. Let's see if we can finish up the rally description. Because this is going to be the last section of the stream for the day. I would feel pretty good about that, because that would mean that we've finished up 2 sections. Like, we've got, well, 1.5. We got about halfway through Escape last time, so, yeah. Aw. Well, I finished 1 cup of water. I should have filled that up with a caffeine drink before I got back, but oh well. Thank you very much, Blasty. Thank you very much for 16 months. And the sound played that time. Yes, I fixed it. How are you doing today, Blasty?
Experience B.
Oh, I know. Ow. You just got home from work. You're good. Okay, fair enough. Excited for Toku Tuesday tonight? Ah, you are currently hydrating with a caffeine drink. Oh, I need caffeine. I had like a coffee chocolate while I was away, which I shouldn't have had because I'm not supposed to have chocolate. But it's fine. I'll deal with itch a little bit. I've known my good safe dosage at this point. But yeah, no, I didn't have time to. What? Wait, bits? I think this is the first time I've ever been given bits. Thank you. But yeah, no, I should have gotten myself a caffeine drink while I was away. I made a mistake. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Because, like, this paragraph is still useful, but I feel like it needs to be reworded. Oh, you have some spare. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so while contents of randomized tables are normally hidden from the players, oh, Shamrock 10. Been summoned to play games, you'll catch up with us later. Okay, fair enough. Have a good one, Valdaris. Love the live transcriptions. Oh, have you not been here since I started adding those? I've had the ability to, like, I've had subtitles on my streams for a while, but I decided to start adding them, like, hard-coded into the stream because, like, that way if there's, like, an error with the player or the transfer, you don't lose the subtitles. This way they're just, you know, a part of the video. And I'm just super happy I was able to get them to play nicely with the font that I wanted to. Yeah, it's real nice. It's real nice. And it even catches video game audio with the way I've got it set up. So just in case a video game doesn't have subtitles, but there's spoken dialogue, I can still capture that. Because yeah, I know I have at least one viewer and lurker who is hard of hearing. So like, including subtitles was a really important thing for me from a very early on stage. But I'm always looking to ways that I can make things more accessible. Actually, that's even true of my TTRPG design, because, like, like, a lot of my designs are intended to be like, okay, well, like, ProtoDrive, fairly complicated game. But even so, it only uses d20s and d6s. D20s are a little bit rare, but they're a lot less rare these days than they used to be. But everyone can find d6s. So that others may survive, or so that others might, so that others may survive, or may live. Only d6s. That was entirely on purpose. Because those are the most common dice around the world. If dice exist in your country, you can get d6s. And I've also done a couple of like diceless games, or just very low challenge games, stuff like that. Stuff that like oh goodness gracious, I always forget the name of it. What was the name of the acid western game I did? I feel bad for forgetting the name of my own game, but like that game was kind of a personal challenge of like, hey, I have to design this in an afternoon. Cactus Quest, that's the name of it. And it's one of the first, like, I guess, like, truly finished games I've put out. But, like, also, again, I did it in a single afternoon as well, including the art for it. And it's, like, I want to say, like, the basic rules for it are 4 pages or some nonsense like that. So, like, it's nothing. I shouldn't say it's nothing. It's actually a really fun game to play. But, like, you can understand why I forget the title. Thank you very much for the hydration, weather friend. I'm also like getting excited and talking really fast right now, so hopefully I'm not like losing anybody. Because I can definitely feel myself raising my own body temperature and like crashing my blood sugar. Oh, the advanced announcers test. Okay, alright. Let's do the advanced announcers test. Been a hot minute since I got to do that. Bring that over here. So I have a script in front of me. Where is that script? Okay, so for anyone who has not heard the announcer's test before, essentially these are standardized scripts used for radio announcing and voiceover, like auditions and tests and things. And typically they are either meant to be done in one breath or to test your ability to pronounce words in multiple languages back to back. It's been a while since I did the basic or the advanced announcers test, so if I mess this one up a little bit, please, have patience with me. I should be able to do it in one go, but if you natively speak one of the languages that I'm about to use, sorry, I'm gonna do my best. So, this one is from the early 1950s, written by Mike Nichols as a test for the radio station WFMT in Chicago. The WFMT announcer's lot is not a happy one. In addition to uttering the sibilant, mellifluous cadences of such cacophonous sounds as Hans Schmidt Iserstadt, Karl Schuricht, Nicanor Zabaleta, Hans Napperstbusch, and Hammerklavier Sonata, he must thread his vocal way through the complications of L'Orchestre de la Suisse Romande, Concertgebouw Orchestra of Amsterdam, and the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra, and other complicated nomenclature. However, it must by no means be assumed that the ability to pronounce L'Orchestre de la Société des Concerts du Conservatoire de Paris with fluidity and verve outweighs in ease, naturalness, and friendliness of delivery when at the omnipresent microphone. For example, when delivering a diatribe concerning Claudia Muzio, Beniamino Gigli, Heri Plumacher, Giancinto Prandelli, Hilde Rosa Majdan, and Lina Pagliucci, 5 out of 6 is good enough if the 6th one is mispronounced plausibly. Jessica Dragonet and Margaret Truman are taken for granted. Poets, although not such a constant annoyance as polysyllabically named singers, creep in now and then. Of course, Dylan Thomas and W.B. Yeats are no great worry. Composers occur almost incessantly, and they range all the way from Albinet, Alvin, and Auric through Wolf Ferrari and Zeisel. Let us reiterate that a warm, simple tone of voice is desirable, even when introducing the Bach-Kantate Ich hatte will bekommen. Ooh, that's an actual stumble right there. The Bach-Kantate Ich hatte will Bekummernis, or Monteverdi's opera I am having an off day. La Incoronación de Popilla. Such then is the warp and woof of an announcer's existence in diesen heiligen Hallen. I stumbled a lot more than I usually do there. Although it's funny to me that the first big stumble was on English words. And yikes! From that point on, my concentration was broken. But I hope you all enjoyed that advanced announcer's test. And I hope you can see why it is the advanced announcer's test, because jumping back and forth between English and French and Italian and German and I can't remember what they speak in Holland? See, this is one of those moments where I wish I'd figured out how to get the tongue to actually work on my model, because, like, Dutch. Okay, thank you. Because is Concertgebouw Orchestra, is that Dutch or is that German? I suppose I could probably... I guess it's technically Dutch, but it's probably... Is Dutch a Germanic language? I wouldn't be shocked if it was. Which language group is Dutch in? Yeah, West Germanic. Okay, that's what I thought. We also had some truly epic music backing that up. Okay, so bringing it back in. While the contents of randomized tables are normally hidden from the players and their characters, should have waited with Hydrate Redeemed for after this read. Honestly, I'll just do that one for free, because honestly, yeah, bleh. I definitely needed it. While the contents of randomized tables are normally hidden from players and their characters, it's better... So, in the case of rally challenges, it's better to share them. This departure from tradition helps to better simulate... Yeah, I can't get rid of that, can't I? To better simulate the characters studying the course before the day of the race, they have the best chances possible. It also doesn't guarantee that they'll be able... while not giving them a real or true guarantee they'll be able to avoid any of obstacles that stand in their way. Okay, while the contents of randomized tables are normally hidden from the players and their characters, in the case of rally challenges, it's better to share them. This departure from tradition helps to better simulate the characters studying the course before the day of the race, so they have the best chance possible to navigate the course successfully, while not giving them a true guarantee that they'll be able to avoid any of the obstacles that stand in their way. I'm going to get rid of the reference to the characters here because the characters are referenced later on down the paragraph. Because the stickles are random. Honestly, I feel like that's just extraneous. I can get rid of that part. So while the contents of randomized tables are normally hidden from the players, in the case of rally challenges, I think I can get rid of the word "the" there. Hidden from players, in the case of rally challenges, it's actually better to share them. This departure from tradition helps to better simulate the characters studying the course before the day of the race, so they have the best chance possible to navigate the obstacles successfully without actually giving them any guarantees. Rally challenges are some of the most... So because of all... because of these complexities, rally challenges are some of the most difficult to design courses for. Thanks to their inclusion of, in particular, thanks to their inclusion of additional pathways for drivers to take, there's a fine balance between the desire to make every pathway equally manageable and to create unique difficulties on each one. Using a variety of terrain types, inclines, and even weather across the pathways is a great way to give players the opportunity to design their vehicles with different goals in mind, despite them all running the same race. Another quirk that we added to rally challenges is that there is the opportunity. Is there another word apart from opportunity we can use here? Because I feel like I've used that a lot. Convenience, event, excuse, freedom, hope, moment, space, contingency, connection. Oh, okay, juncture. Okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Another quirk that can be added to rally challenges are junctures, that allow the drivers to switch paths or even force them all onto the same path. Short period, adding even more elements to consider during their vehicle customization. Wow, that is one fucking sentence. That is a long sentence. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. I will come back to this paragraph in just a moment, because I have a feeling that it's a little bit too long. So keep overall length of the track. Hang on. Each pathway should be unique. No. I'm gonna go back to how I was doing it before. Keep the overall length of the pathway. Keep the length of the pathways and the overall length of the course in mind. In mind at all times. A relatively straight pathway might need to be longer than straight, smooth pathway might need to be longer than one that includes dirt roads, twists, and sharp turns. We'll just say sharp turns. Accommodate the different speeds that drivers that drivers will naturally gravitate to in these situations. Additionally, because of the added mechanics for obstacles and the number of lane types, rules that come into play across our thanks to I already said thanks to the variety. A result of I think my brain might be cooked, chat. I'm real glad that I'm going to be finishing up the stream sometime soon. Additionally, because the added mechanics for obstacles and the variety of road types in play, or the variety of complications in play, rally challenges will tend to run to take more time And they're rewatching Bob's Burgers and you forgot how unhinged the first episodes were. Yeah! It's also really funny to watch people who assume the voice actors for Bob is going to look... It ends up... Wow, yeah, no, my brain is cooked. My brain is absolutely cooked. I've been... Oh, I have not recovered from this weekend. Because Archer and Bob from Bob's Burgers share the same voice actor, and it's really funny. It's Sheila Mind Broken, and not even for fun way. Like, I mean, for kind of fun ways. I had fun this weekend. I went to a Renaissance festival. It was just a very long, exhausting day. It was a lot of fun, but it was very exhausting. A lot of hilly terrain at this particular festival, so we were going up and down and up and down and up and down hills and gravel pathways all day. So it was... My muscles are sore. My brain is cooked. But anyway, yeah, Bob, or the actor for Bob and Archer, looks way more like Bob than Archer, and it was really funny when Bob's Burgers was still in like its first or second season to watch people realize that he looks more like Bob than Archer. Great guy, as far as I remember, but just, yeah, like people who were expecting a very suave, debonair person getting Bob IRL were just like, what the, huh? Okay, so let's go back over this paragraph. Okay, additionally, because of the added mechanics for obstacles and the variety of complications in play, rally challenges will tend to take more time than other... I'm going to say rally races. Like, I try not to use the word race as often as I can avoid using it. Specifically because I don't want it to get confused for some of the really gross stuff that you might have to deal with in like D&D classical, because of like races being a thing that include biological what's the term here? Deterministic biological determinism, all that sort of fun stuff. No, not biological events, like that's just a whole thing. But it's the idea that like, oh, if you're from this race, you are this way. And that fucking sucks because that's not true in any culture at all. Like, cultures are huge determining factors about who we are as people, not skin tone, not who our parents are. Use event instead of race. Okay. I like that. I like that. Rally events tend to take more time than other challenge types. In a play session... involved. Okay, so keep the length of the pathways and the overall length of the course in mind at all times. A relatively straight, smooth pathway might need to be longer than one that includes dirt roads and sharp turns to accommodate the different speeds that drivers will naturally gravitate to in these situations. Additionally, because of the added mechanics for obstacles and the variety of complications involved, rally events tend to take more time in a play session than other challenge types. So, shortening the course may be a good option. Even that out may be a good option. Okay. Oof. Okay, so let's take a read through of the Rally Special Challenge from start to stop to see how it feels. The Rally Special Challenge is perhaps the most complex one on this list. At its most basic, a rally can be just a single track, but one where obstacles are far more common. However, it's fairly normal for this challenge type to include multiple pathways from its starting line to its finish. requiring the drivers to pick their poison and deal with whatever problems come their way. From the perspective of players, a rally involves the most snap decision-making of all challenge types, and can even involve actual navigation and course awareness. On the GM side of the table, complexity comes from having to create so many options and obstacles to make this special challenge shine. These can be broken down into pathways and random events. Part of the fun of rally challenges is figuring out the fastest way to navigate from point A to point B. The simplest version of this is just making sure the drivers know what turns and terrain is coming up, and how well their cars can handle them. By introducing multiple pathways, however, this gives drivers the opportunity to strategize around how their vehicles are built to try and optimize their performance. Since either of these options requires a bit of study beforehand, it's best to show the course to the players ahead of time and give them space to make decisions about how they want to approach it. To help manage the level of complexity, here are some suggestions about how many pathways should be included. A wide open course should have 5 pathways to choose from. A curated course should have 3 pathways to choose from, and a closed-off course should only have 1 pathway. The other thing that's necessary for a good rally challenge is obstacles to overcome. These can take the form of creatively used complications or random events created especially for the course. While complications should be obvious on the course thanks to the symbols used to indicate things like weather and changes in incline, events happen to a random player at the end of each round, normally pulled from a table designed for the pathway they took. Pathway that player took. Or should I go with the chosen player? The random player took. No, I think that player took. For instance, the table for a mountain pass might look like this. I think I can get rid of the term pathway there. It's fairly obvious what I'm talking about. And then the table here is roll a d6. On a result of 1, rocks fall. The driver's vehicle takes 2d6 damage. Result of 2, washed out road. The driver must make a control check in addition to any other checks they make at the end of their round. Boulder on the path. The driver suddenly encounters a full hazard. Scree on the tarmac. Roll 1d6 on an uphill incline. Decrease the vehicle's speed by the result. On a downhill incline, increase the vehicle speed by the result. And on a flat road, roll a control check with the DC raised by the result. Number 5 is blocked view. The driver must choose to either reduce their speed by 5 or add +5 to the DC of their next control check. And number 6 is clear conditions. There is no additional obstacle. While the contents of randomized tables are normally hidden from players, in the case of rally challenges, it's actually better to share them. This departure from tradition helps to better simulate the characters studying the course before the day of the race so they have the best chance possible to navigate the obstacles successfully without actually giving them any guarantees. Because of these complexities, rally challenges are some of the most difficult to design courses for. In particular, thanks to their inclusion of additional pathways for drivers to take, there's a fine balance between the desire to make every path equally manageable and to create unique difficulties on each one. Using a variety of terrain types, inclines, and even weather across the pathways is a great way to give players the opportunity to design their vehicles with different goals in mind, despite them all running the same race. Another quirk that can be added to rally challenges are junctures that allow the drivers to switch paths, or even force them all onto the same path for a short period, adding even more elements to consider during their vehicle customization. Keep the length of the pathways and the overall length of the course in mind at all times. A relatively straight, smooth pathway might need to be longer than one that includes dirt roads and sharp turns to accommodate the different speeds that drivers will naturally gravitate to in these situations. Additionally, because of the added mechanics for obstacles and the variety of complications involved, rally events tend to take more time in a play session than other challenge types, so shortening the course to even that out may be a good option. Whew. Okay, that is definitely the most complicated one of these challenge types. But I think I'm happy with where that description stands. Did anything jump out to anybody as something that needs to be taken care of, clarified, or anything like that? Like, keep in mind, this is the GM side of things. Players are not meant to see this side of the book. So the assumption is that this is for people who are actively running the game and know more of the mechanics than your average player. But that being said, if I said anything in there that just seems entirely out of left field or over-explained or under-explained, I want to know so that I can improve it, you know? No? No comments? No questions? Concerns? Nothing? Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not going to complain if I don't have to do rewrites, you know? And I gotta do art to add that. But that's something I'll have to do off stream because I don't have a good way to stream the art that I'm doing on my tablet. So next time, come back to work on this. We'll work on relay races. And for now, I've got another automatic commercial coming up, but I don't want to send you all off to that. Since I am coming to the end of my stream anyway, this is a good place to stop. So let's head back over to the Just Chatting screen real quick. So, thank you very much for stopping by, Weary Travelers. I hope you've enjoyed today's TTRPG Tuesday stream. I will be back this coming Friday, which is September... something. Oh my goodness. September 19th, to continue Final Fantasy XIV's main story quest. We just started Dawn Trail last time, and I'm extremely excited to continue that. We've basically finished the intro section in the main city and just got out onto the road to our first of the challenges. But in any case, you know, if that's not your jam and you just want to know about future tactics streams on Saturdays or get a reminder about future TTRPG work streams, you can follow us on Blue Sky at Come and Go Tavern, where you can find announcements and daily check-ins from the Come and Go. I have been your hostess, Sheela Ornthalis, and if you need to prop your feet up for a little while longer, we've got some more entertainment coming up soon via a raid. So let's take a look at the menu and see who's online right now, shall we? Let's see. Oh, there's a few people online to choose from. What is Captain Hurricane playing right now? The note just says retro. Ooh, Outrun 2006. Okay, cool. Then let's say hi to Captain Hurricane. And until next time, I will be seeing you. Ta-ta for now. Bye. Bye. Mwah. Bye.